Audi's electric era didn't have the strongest start. The e-tron, or this car's predecessor, the Q8 e-tron, it felt a little bit rushed to market and a little bit underdone as a result. It also drew a little bit of criticism for being inefficient in comparison to its rivals. However, the brand is back with a new version of its luxury flagship electric SUV, and it's got a new name, new styling, and a bigger battery. It reinserts into a hotly contested market. You have the BMW iX, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV, and the Genesis GV70 electric, just to name a few. So does a model now have the strength to stand out in a crowded market? We're here with an entry-level specification. Let's go find out. What a difference 5 years makes. From this car's origins as the only electric car in Audi's showroom, the German carmaker now has an entire range full of electric vehicles, including the swoopy e-tron GT sedan. The Q8 e-tron was updated in 2023 with styling tweaks such as the new 2D badge and a redesigned single-frame front grille, but the latest news with the nameplate concerns the introduction of the most affordable 50 Quattro variant that'll set you back $140,600 before on-road costs. It still gets a dual-motor electric powertrain, but it's been detuned to 250 kilowatts and 664 newton meters compared to the previous 55 Quattro variant. That said, it still sprints from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in a healthy 6 seconds. It's able to boast such performance thanks to a 94 kilowatt hour battery that keeps the Q8 e-tron 50 Quattro running for 411 kilometers before needing a recharge. When it does come time to recharge, the car can accept up to a 150 kilowatt DC fast charge rate that allows for a 10 to 80% charge in under 30 minutes. To give you a brief taste test, this entry-level version comes with standard equipment such as air suspension, 20-inch alloy wheels, leatherette seats, dual-zone climate control, a powered boot release, and Audi's ubiquitous virtual cockpit digital instrument cluster. For the time being, I want to talk about styling because I still think that the Q8 e-tron cuts a smart figure on Australian roads. Up front, we do have a wide single-frame front grille, which does have physical holes. That is somewhat weird for an electric vehicle. And you also do get a flat Audi badge at the front. Now this car here sits on a set of 21-inch wheels because it does have the $5,400 sport package, but other cars as standard do get 20-inch wheels. It's worth noting that the e-tron does get charge ports on either side. However, only one of them does have DC fast charging. At the rear of the car, we can see that this is a wagon-bodied Q8 e-tron. You can also get a Sportback, which has a little bit more of a sloping roof, but I do prefer the conventional styling of the wagon body. Now it also gets a full-width LED light bar and an accentuated rear bumper, which I think, in my opinion, looks a little bit plasticky, but let me know about what you think of the car's design in the comments below. Or if you don't like the car at all, you can check out its competitors on Drive Marketplace. I have always been in awe of Audi interiors, and even though this specific Q8 e-tron is getting on in age, you are still getting a tech-forward interface and modern design throughout. To call out a few aspects that I'm drawn to, I love the flyover center console design, which is super deep to aid storage. I love the minimalist gear selector, and I also love the 3 screens, which are all visually impressive. While I'm talking screens, the Audi's 10.1-inch main infotainment display isn't big these days, especially when you are seeing 14-inch displays from rivals like BMW. But that said, I don't feel like you miss out with the Q8 e-tron. There are 2 separate displays, one for infotainment and one for the air conditioning. So even though you do miss out on outright screen real estate, at least there are 2 displays right next to each other. That's not including the 12.3-inch virtual cockpit, which is arguably still one of the best integrations in the market today. Audi has been doing this virtual cockpit digital instrument cluster for years now, and the customization and graphics are seriously impressive. Personally, I love changing it to the full map display, which looks really immersive. As for the infotainment system itself, the Audi system is easy to get your head around and can connect wirelessly for phone app integration. There are handy shortcuts along the right-hand side and, of course, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capabilities. In terms of design, it's looking a little bit old these days, but if it ain't broke, it's probably best left alone. The only thing I do wish Audi did was to use more physical buttons for things like the auto hold function to prevent the car from rolling away, or the brake recuperation. You are forced to prod through multiple screens in order to get to those simple settings. Let's talk about the way this cabin feels, because I think it is top-notch quality. In particular, I love the clicky aspects to the buttons and switchgear. You get a really nice satisfying noise whenever you select anything, and it just feels nice. This clicky Audi switchgear is really entertaining and quite tactile to me, but if you want some satisfaction yourself, you may as well go and click subscribe to get all of our future content, and give us a like if you've enjoyed this video specifically. I'm a big fan of the contrasting silver elements to the dash and center console, and you also do get changeable ambient lighting, and everything feels well put together. The only thing I do think that this cabin misses out on is a sunroof, and I do feel that that is a little bit cheeky in a $140,000 car. These sport seats that I'm sat in, they do come on the optional sport package that this car does equip. I find that they do have a nice amount of adjustment to get a nice low driving position, and in terms of material feel as well, they feel nice and supple. I've found them particularly handy on longer journeys. Onto storage, and you do get a deep center console box with a pair of cup holders, a wireless smartphone charger, and you do get dual USB ports as well. Obviously you do get a glove box, but I do wish that Audi gave a little bit more room in the center console bin because it's not that deep. You don't have that much room for, say, a digital camera or something like that. I am pretty happy sat back here in the second row. There is no real diminishment in materials quality, and everything feels as well built as it is in the front row. In terms of space, I've got good knee room behind my own driving position, good space for my feet, and my head is unencumbered by the headlining. I don't think you could say the same thing about the Sportback variant and its sloping roof. Now, one thing I do find annoying is the fact that this car doesn't have a sliding seat base and you can't recline its backrest. They are features that I do really appreciate in a large SUV. Anyway, in terms of amenities, you do get map pockets, air vents, dual USB-C ports, and a shallow pocket for storing odds and ends behind the center console here. You also do get a fold-down center armrest with a pair of cup holders. In the boot, we do get 569 litres of stowage space, more than its key rivals, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV and the BMW iX. In addition, I do like the fact that there are seat fold latches in the rear which do fold down to reveal a full 1,637 litre space. I also do love the fact that underneath the boot floor you do get a little bit more storage space and a space saver spare wheel instead of a tyre repair kit. Right at the top, I want to call out the Audi Q8 e-Tron 50's standard air suspension. Even though this is an entry-level variant, it comes with standard air suspension and the resulting experience is so supple and soft. Speed humps are dealt with a deft touch. They just absorb like nothing. The imperfections in the road, they don't really make their way to the cabin, and on the other side of it, when you are on the freeway, little imperfections in the road and undulations really don't really upset this car's progress. It is really nicely balanced overall. What's better, it still feels pretty dynamic in the corners too. Even though it is a pretty hefty 2,500 kilograms, it does feel quite dynamic and sort of holds its composure when you are going around bends. So it is a really nice balance between on-road comfort and when you are further afield as well. So well done to Audi in that regard. Just on that, there are a whopping 7 separate driving modes, which for me, that does sound like a little bit of overkill, but you do have a lot of changeability there to change up this car's settings and dynamics. So it is nice to have options there. While we are driving around town at the moment, I do want to call out how easy it is to steer this thing because the light steering feel makes this thing a cinch to park into tight spaces, and when you are doing a reverse parallel park. It is a light touch that is really handy when you are driving around town. I really just do like the steering weight overall, even though it is light. One thing I don't love is the fact that this car doesn't come with a creep function. So I've just taken my foot off the brake then and put the accelerator input myself, but the car sort of doesn't incrementally creep forward itself. So that is kind of annoying when you are parking. I've been driving this car all week and I am really impressed with the cabin refinement and noise insulation. I've been driving on freeways around town and there's not that much noise that makes its way through to the cabin, which is really important when you are driving an electric car that doesn't have the sort of masking noise of a petrol or diesel motor. Now, the big thing with the pre-facelift Audi e-Tron was the fact that this car actually wasn't that efficient for an electric vehicle. This car claims 24 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and unfortunately, it isn't the most efficient car in its segment because at the moment we are doing around 28 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. What you really want to see from a large SUV is around 23, 24, exactly what Audi claims, but in the real world, this car is not doing it. It's around 28, so that's not really that impressive. And also, you aren't getting that much ultimate driving range out of this car as well. 411 kilometers, it's not that impressive in 2024. Powering the Audi Q8 e-tron is a 94 kilowatt hour battery, which does power both the front and rear axles. You do get overall 250 kilowatts and 664 newton meters. Now, you don't get a whopping sort of sense of acceleration when you do pin the throttle, but you do get a boost function as well. So when you do put your foot down, it does feel fast, but it's not the kind of wild fast that you do expect from a large, expensive luxury electric vehicle. In any sense, it is more than capable at what this car is designed to do though. One thing that you do get with electric vehicles and their ability to sort of recuperate lost energy through the brakes is you don't have that nice of a brake pedal feel, but in the Q8 e-tron, you do get a nice sort of fluid feel whether you are doing friction braking or kinetic energy recovery system. So it's nice to see that system sort of hand over between the two disciplines really smoothly. By no means does this refreshed Audi Q8 e-tron revolutionize the luxury electric SUV market. However, it remains one of my favorites in terms of design, technology, and luxuriousness. In particular, I love the way this car is driven every day, as well as being sporty when I've needed it to be. It's also very refined. As an electric vehicle, the Q8 e-tron 50 could definitely do with efficiency improvements. 411 kilometers out of a 95 kilowatt hour battery isn't impressive, and a max 150 kilowatt charge rate is lacking at this price point. However, the overarching experience is a plush one. I think Audi's done a really good job at refreshing this luxury electric vehicle, and I can see it doing big numbers in terms of sales compared with its rivals. If you're actually not as much of a fan of the Audi Q8 e-tron as I am, there are other alternatives in the market. There's the BMW iX and the EQE SUV from Mercedes. In fact, I've spent time in the EQE SUV, so you can view that video review by clicking up here as well.